So I'm live now here on Instagram and I'm live over here on Facebook. And what I want to talk about today is the uh, disappearance of Naya Rivera. All right. I'm getting this thing, Instagram, hold on for me because I'm getting my live stream going on Facebook. There we go. Working two devices here. So all right, here we go. So thanks for joining me. Um, we are living in some really strange times right now, and there's a lot of really crazy stuff going on. So I want to chime in about this Naya Rivera situation while it's still fresh before we know a whole lot of what's going on. And I want to give you a perspective from a medium, somebody who taps into the ethers and talks to God and all of these things, right? Like, what good is this skill if I don't use it to help people, right? So I don't know exactly what's going to come through me through this session, but I wanted to record it live so that it's really true and genuine. And I will let you know that I haven't done a whole lot of research on this subject on purpose. I prefer to know as little as possible so that I can get a really broad perspective and so that I don't put myself into this, right? So what I personally know about Naya Rivera is she was on Glee. That was where I discovered her. She played a character on there. That show was all about a high school musical, and these kids just singing all these songs, right? But I don't really know anything about her outside of that. I don't know anything about her personal life. I didn't even know she had a kid until I found out about the situation and of her going out on a boat with her 4-year-old son, and then all of a sudden just going missing. So I'm gonna just kind of pull up the stuff, and I want you to know, like, I've got my other phone here, and it's kind of hard to see, but I'm just doing Google searches right now to pull up this information. Because when I started to do this just a moment ago, which is why I decided to go live about it, was that there was some connection that made me go, wait a second, okay, I felt something was wrong when I heard about this, right? Like the whole circumstances. So the whole deal is that she rented a boat to take just her and her 4-year-old son out to the middle of Lake Piru, and then it was a 3-hour tour, a 3-hour tour. Like, that's all that keeps playing through my mind, you know, like this just looks fishy from the outside, right? And just when I heard that she went missing and her 4-year-old son was fine on the boat, you know, like apparently they went out for a swim, and then they came back and she was gone. And it just, the whole thing just didn't sit right. And when my friend told me about it, what I did was I just tuned into the whole situation, and what I felt was that she had made a deal and she didn't fulfill her end of the bargain, and this was a result of that. So if she shows up later, she's going to have some really wild story, but as the days pass, I don't feel that, I don't know that she's going to be found alive, okay? But something that really got my attention is when I'd heard that word Piru before, and I was a huge Little Wayne fan back in like 2006. I discovered he had a new album, the Carter 3, and there's a song in there, and I don't even remember the whole line. I haven't even pulled it up, but treat you like Piru, I think is the line. And I never understood what that meant, and it just, I don't know, it didn't make any sense to me. And then I heard that she died or she didn't die, right? We don't know that yet. But she was at Lake Piru, Naya Rivera was. And so when I looked up that word, I had, admittedly, I'll say that I did see something on the internet that Piru meant devil, right? And so I went to go Google it, and you can do this from your phone, from your device right now when, well, let me get myself on dark mode. That'll help too. So when I Googled Piru, I don't know if you can see this. There's just like this YouTube video that comes up. Naya Rivera's missing. Like literally all I did was type the word Piru in there, okay? God, I wish you could see that better. Let me turn down my brightness, maybe that'll help. Oh yeah, that helped a lot. Okay, so see that? So I just typed the word Piru. That's it. And she's the very first thing that comes up at the top. And you start scrolling through it, and there's like 4 videos. It says people ask, what does Piru stand for? And you click on that, and it takes you to a dictionary.com link that says that, among other places, Piru is a street in Compton, California, where the Piru Street Boys and West Side Piru gangs originated. So oh, and it goes further. The gangs have made Piru a backronym for pimps or people in red uniforms. Piru, a reference to members of the Bloods who Piru gangs are allied with, right? So they have, and that's the very first thing. Look, like the very first thing. And if you're Googling along with me, then you're getting this too. Like that's one of my big pet peeves when people do videos that they aren't live Googling, like show me, like let me do it with you, right? And so you keep going, what's the difference between a blood and a Piru? What is a Piru blood? Where did the name Piru come from? It's derived from the Piru Street in Compton. What color do Piru bloods wear? Who started Piru? What does 5 mean in Bloods? How big are Bloods and Crips? What does 9 Trey mean? What rappers are Crips? Who is Blood and who is Crips? So they're taking this thing immediately into all of the gang stuff, right? So we start with Naya Rivera, which is the very first 4 videos. It's all that's there. And all I Googled was Piru. And then everything else is about gangs. Gang, 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 gang. Right? And I don't know if you guys listen to hip hop or modern day music, but they've been saying gang, gang in a lot of music lately too. Top stories. Naya Rivera missing in Lake Piru. All of these articles about missing in Piru. And then you get Piru, California. Petition demands warning signs at Lake Piru as they search for the Glee star. So now they're going to use this as some sort of so now they're starting to petition. Is this the people? I don't know. I'm really not interested in that story right now, so I'm not going to click on it. But I'm still going Piru. Piru is a small unincorporated historic town in eastern Ventura, California, County, California. So like if you look, like how far down is that? So I've got 4 videos of Naya Rivera. Plus I've got all of these things about gangs. And then by the time oh look, then there's all these top stories about her. And by the time I actually get down to a Wikipedia thing, it's Piru, California, and it's like halfway down the page. And then there's, okay, so let's just keep scrolling. More Naya Rivera, top sites in Piru. The tragic history of Lake Piru, where Naya Rivera went missing. This article is by People. I am interested in that. So let's see what it has to say. This article was written yesterday at 6:11 p.m. I'm not going to read this whole article out loud, but I am going to skim it real quick to see what it says about the history of this lake. Because here's the thing, is that with all of the heinous, mischievous things that are going on in today's world, they're weaved in like this, okay? So I know that I post a lot of things that some people are like, cuckoo, cuckoo, but understand that I'm going down these rabbit holes and I'm just sharing with you like the very surface level of things to entice you to go down the rabbit hole yourself. Now, right now, I'm going down the rabbit hole because I already know, I can already feel it. She is not coming back. But how can we find this? Where does she weave into the story? Okay, so check this out. So according to the LA Times, about 7 people drowned in Lake Piru between 1994 and 2000. And there is something really interesting about this name Piru that I haven't gotten to yet. So check this out, right? So there were about 7 people that drowned between 1994 and 2000. And let's see. And the Times noted that most drowning victims were swimmers venturing into restricted waters. Isn't that what they reported that she did? Um, so that's so the lake's history has a uh, series of drowning with swimmers venturing out into restricted waters. So let's see. Um, right, so the guy who's in charge of the lake, the ranger or whatever, just says, you should wear a floating device and all of that. So it says that she went missing, and her 4-year-old son rented a pontoon boat and were swimming in the water when she disappeared. So, what I'm really curious about is the conversation with the son, right? Because he was there and he's 4 years old. So his cognitive level is right at that age where he probably doesn't understand what was going on or who got to him first. Like, there's so many unanswered questions, right? But I can't go down that rabbit hole because there's just not enough. So what I want to just point out, though, is that people made this article, right? And this is the first article when you do a Google search for Piru that shows up like a with a red flag, right? Because it says, oh, the tragic story behind it. And this is how they weave these things in, is that there's some sort of story. So what happens is that when you get pieces of a puzzle, your brain wants to make a logic leap and pull them all together, and it's going to do that based off of who you are, what you believe, and how you operate in your world. And it's going to do that to make you feel comfortable, to put some sort of label and some sort of control on it. That's the human aspect. So when they leak us articles like this, and there's little things here and there that people come across, it goes, oh, well, of course she died swimming out there. 7 people died between 1994 and 2000, but it's 2020. What about the last 20 friggin' years? What happened in the last 20 years? Has anybody died in the last 20 years? Why did they just pick that 6-year time frame, 94 to 2000, for people to die? That's what they mention. Okay, so this is how they start to create doubt and fear. They plant these little seeds, and most people aren't realizing it because it just seems like it's part of the article, right? But this is just basic human psychology. Plant the seeds. Eventually, the brain has been exposed to it enough, it'll make its own logic leaps. Okay, excuse me. See, my throat's all clearing up. That's when you know things are getting good. Okay. Oh, and here's another thing it says in this article. The sheriff says that water searches are really difficult. Sometimes it can take several days before we find any clues or have a recovery. That is also true, right? We know that it's just the nature of the beast. So, and we all know that the longer it takes them to find the body, the less likely the chances are of finding it, right? Especially in a place with water. It's, in a lake or whatever, like, there's all sorts of other stuff going on. There's all sorts of other factors, and if this was a intentional thing, well, then of course her body isn't going to be found, right? So let's see. He also says, the sheriff, that Lake Piru's rough conditions are an added challenge, and that the surface areas of the lake is large and your visibility underwater is limited. Of course, it's the perfect scene, right? So after the boat was overdue for the rental, that's when they found it. Oh. After the boat was overdue for return after the 3-hour rental, remember? 3-hour tour, a 3-hour tour. The staff of the lake's concession stand found it at the north side of the body of the water with Josie sleeping aboard. Josie being her child, right? There likely weren't many boats around as the lake is less popular on weekdays. So this little boy was found asleep. Do you know how easy it is to get a 4-year-old to go to sleep voluntarily? not. And I mean, maybe they've been playing out and he really exhausted himself. Maybe. But do you know any 4-year-olds? Even a couple of hours, they would have to be constantly playing, and they might be worn out by the 2 to 3 hour mark, only if they were constantly running like the entire time, right? But what 4-year-old goes out on a boat and, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's sunny. I mean, there's all these factors, right? So maybe there's all these contributing factors, and okay, but it's really easy to give him some Kool-Aid with a little sleep stuff in there. You need some freaking NyQuil or something, right? And it's really melatonin. You can put a kid to sleep. You don't need any heavy sedatives. You know what I mean? And what is his cognitive level? We don't know. So, oh, okay. So now they're already presuming that she's dead, and they've shifted priorities from recovery to, or from rescue to recovery, right? Um, so, yada yada. I'm looking to see if there's anything else. So, then they go into United States data. So, yeah, they're just going off about the life jacket and stuff. So, okay. So, now back to what led me to that article. So we're going to go back to our Piru search. So all I did was, again, a search for Piru, just a simple Google search, and that's it. And now we're getting into stuff about Southern California, and then now I'm down at the bottom. And I'm not going to click on more results. I don't really care. But I heard this rumor that Piru meant devil, and you could translate that, right? So what I did was I went to, I just Googled translator, right? And Google Translate comes up, and I search Piru, and it means, for example, in Chinese, right? And I'm like, oh, all right then. But something kept going, no, don't leave it there, don't leave it there. So I decided to do a Google search for Piru, Piru, devil, because I had heard that that's what it meant, right? But so far, none of my results came up that way. So I searched Piru devil, and ho ho ho! Look at that. It comes the very first thing is Piru, parentheses, spirit, and it's a Wikipedia article. You and I both know that Wikipedia articles should come up like at the top of the list, right? But they didn't when I went to just search for Piru. And then when I went to go search for Piru through a translator, it just came back Chinese for example, you know? But when I search Piru devil, here it comes up. And then the very second link is Piru for Wikipedia, just Piru regularly. But it didn't come up like that when I just Googled Piru. It came up as Piru, California, right? Like it came up with all these things about Naya Rivera. So, and when you look at these things, they're very much straightforward. Piru this, Piru, Piru, Piru. All these are very singular, right? And that's what I was searching for. And usually as data shows up, it goes most... it's supposed to be most relevant to whatever keywords you searched for, right? But it's not, because it gave me Piru, California, and that's not what I searched for, when Piru actually means devil, okay? So, it is significant that she went disappearing in Lake Piru, and this may not seemingly connect anywhere else or to anybody else's celebrityism or anything like that on the outside, but it most certainly is on the inside. And you could do some Google searches on her and different like conspiracy theories to see all sorts of stuff weaving in, but I'm concerned about the things that are coming out now, the things that we can make reference of. So I don't know if this is going to go anywhere. Like I said, I don't know if it's going to connect to you know, the bigger picture on the outside, but what I am noticing is that what I feel on the inside is that there's something much bigger going on, and we're going to see these celebrities being pulled little bit by little bit, and they're not pulling the big ones that everybody knows and loves first. They're pulling the little ones. And this one, I will tell you, I intuitively feel like she made, like I said, she made some sort of agreement that she did not hold up on her end of the bargain. Um, and she paid with her life. And there's no way for me to prove that, and I can't sell that as a fact. I'm just intuitively tapped in, tuned in, and connected. So, but what really happens? We don't know, but keep a lookout, and I'm going to keep my eye out too, and I'm going to keep doing these videos, and we're going to keep linking these things together, because our world is changing right before our very eyes, and we have this opportunity to change our very own lives. So as we're watching things change around us, we get to decide, we get to choose what kind of life we're going to live. And if you've been living in a lot of pain lately, if you've been hurting on the inside, especially your heart, I know what that pain is. And that is you denying yourself life, okay? That's really what depression is. And I know that I don't want to gloss over it, because I know that it can be a very painful place. And I certainly myself wanted to grab people by the throat who were just like, well, get over it, go do this, go do that. Sometimes it's not that easy. But I want you to know that you have eternal divine support. Whatever you believe your higher power to be, it doesn't matter how you define it, but it is that relationship that is going to make you feel so cool, calm, and confident, even when you want to freak out, because you know things are right. Okay? And we are witnessing what happens to people when they aren't really truly living in divine alignment with who they are. Not saying anything about Naya Rivera, because I haven't dug into her and all of that, but I'm simply just saying to you that it's time to just make those choices, do those things. No more waiting around. The energy is now. That's where we're at. And if you continue to just let things pass you by and you don't make deliberate choices for yourself, you are going to continue to have a more difficult time, because you're holding on to things that no longer belong in your life. You're holding on to people that you need to let go of, for both of you, because if it's not healthy for you, it's not healthy for them either. All right? So I hope that you found this video interesting, and if you did, please share it. I mean, I feel like everybody should open up to these different things going on and get the wheels turning, because maybe there's something in it for you. All right, guys, you have a great rest of your night. I'll talk to you later.